please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remain standing for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. We have one modification to the agenda. We are adding item G4, authorization to negotiate a developers agreement, as we discussed in the work session. Beyond that, I have no other changes to the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the amended agenda.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We have nobody signed up for public comments. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Recognition. Mr. Hubert?
Thank you, Mayor, Board. I'm very pleased to provide and recognize one of our employees in the Building Inspections Division, John Deere, for his 5-year service award. Our Building Inspections Division is a well-oiled machine, and a lot of that is due to John's efforts. He's a consummate professional. His technical knowledge is outstanding, and his professionalism make him an asset to our team, and I'm pleased to, come on, you get to get this. Please extend this to him. Thank you for 5 years.
Thank you, Matt. Next up, our Interim Town Manager, Smith.
All right, it's indeed my pleasure that we recognize here Melanie Schuler, our town clerk, for her 5-year service award. I've only known Melanie for a brief period of time, my time here in Waxhaw, but I can tell you she is keeps our well-oiled machine and the administration running as well. I can't think of anybody more diligent in her work, and of course I can't be more proud of her getting ready to be a soon graduate of Appalachian State University coming up in December.
You had to get that in there.
I had to sneak that in, Charlie. I'm sorry. I meant to bring you a tie to wear, so, but anyway. So it's my pleasure on behalf of the mayor and board and our town employees to recognize Melanie for her 5-year service award.
Thank you and congratulations. One more piece of recognition, although she couldn't be here tonight. On behalf of the board, I'd like to thank Lisa White for her work with the town. As of today, she has decided to end her employment with the town and go be a part of enjoying the birth of her granddaughter up in Asheville, and so we wish her the best. Having 4 grandkids, I know that's going to be a special time for her. All right, on to old business. Dina, agreement between the town of Waxhaw and the Waxhaw Athletic Association.
There we go. A few months ago, I brought the use agreement up to the board for their consideration. It's basically, I'm going to go over that overview of that presentation. Of course, at any time you can ask any questions. At this time, we have all the current documentation that we need for the agreement, so we're very excited about that. But again, at any time, you can definitely stop me for questions. So to rehash, this is a wonderful community partner that we have with the WA. We provide the space as in the fields at Nesbitt Park, and they provide the recreational athletic service to our citizens. We provide the infrastructure of the park, and they maintain the fields. I would like to point out one of the statements on here, the term. It was brought up earlier that we do have in our documentation to have a quarterly or annually review, kind of like a check-in. So we would like to make the proposal of our suggestion to do that check-in on the date that we actually agree on the agreement. So that would be this time next year that we would do our check-in. The WA is a wonderful volunteer organization, and they work great with the park team. Of course, our hearts are to give the best service we can for their citizens, and we work together really good on doing that. Field usage, the WA has first right of reservation of the fields, but of course, when we get citizens' requests, we are able to accommodate for that as well. We also have a maintenance plan for the fields, and we're working on our maintenance plans for the parks in general, and we'll have that coming up this year. We have all of our insurance and liability information for all the sports that are accommodated at Nesbitt. As of last year, we've got our new ordinances, so they will be in place for Nesbitt as well, and new park signage will be coming out soon. Rentals and payments. The WA has their sponsorship set up, but we also, to help them with their support of their athletics, but we also get a payment of utilities from the WA for their field usage, and then they do some cost sharing on the lights as well, and on CIP projects that could be helpful to both parties. At this time, if you have any questions and concerns, but in general, we're asking for the approval of the Waxhaw, Town of Waxhaw and the WA agreement, and an allowance of the interim town manager to sign that agreement.
Any questions?
I just have one clarification. So you had said that the check-in could be quarterly or annually, but what you were requesting, just to make sure I'm 100% aligned, was an annual check-in about this date every September.
That would be like the set in stone check-in.
Okay.
I talk to them weekly,
Okay.
but that would be our definitely face-to-face. We're doing this every year.
I'd like to make the motion to direct the town manager to execute the agreement between Waxhaw and the Waxhaw Athletics Association
With the modification.
with the modifications recommended.
So we have the motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There you have it.
Thank you very much.
Next up, Madison, decision on Valvoline instant oil change conditional district rezoning petition. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Hello, all. So I am back before you for the CD rezoning request by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. This is a 1-acre site located at 2525 Cuthbertson Road, and it's for the Valvoline. And here is an aerial map showing the parcel, Cuthbertson Road being here, and this being Highway 16. This is the Walgreens, the Taco Bell to the south, and to the north is the Shops at Howard's Mill development. The current zoning on it is CUC3, and the proposed zoning will make it CDC3. The future land use calls this corridor the existing commercial center, and this is to basically have existing suburban commercial centers around this intersection remain and allow the uses to continue. And the uses and density for this are typically a broad mix of commercial and general service usage, which the Valvoline does meet. And here's the preliminary plan layout again before you. This is Cuthbertson Road here in front of the facility. The Valvoline is about a little over 2,000 square feet in usage. I believe there's 7 parking spaces, and then landscaping and sidewalks provided along the frontage. And here are the elevations showing the base brick, the filled brick, and the accent brick with the aluminum awnings over the entryway, and then the car bays. And then at the top is a black metal trim. And this matches the facade that is located at the shops at Howard's Mill, and the intent is on purpose. And then here is the right and rear elevations for the building, showing the same material being used. So at the August Planning Board meeting, Planning Board voted 4-0 to send a favorable recommendation to you all. And they also voted unanimously to send a favorable recommendation on the reasonable and consistency statement. So planning staff recommends approval for the proposed CD rezoning from CUC3 to CDC3. And then a few items for consideration. This is indeed consistent with the future land use plan. The out parcel itself is very small and kind of limits the use for potential commercial space. The Valvoline is a good size to fit with this 1 acre parcel, and with transportation being such a keen topic, with only 35 cars generated per day, it doesn't put a strain on the current traffic congestion. And then an additional note, it has the potential to add over $4,000 to the town's non-residential tax base for commercial uses. And so the requested action before you tonight is to approve or to deny the petition in front of you, and then followed a reasonable and consistency statement as shown before you. Questions?
So,
comments?
questions, do we have any questions from anybody on the board? What action would the board like to take?
I make a motion to approve petition CD 008992-2019.
So we have a motion to approve CD 008992-2019. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
So the petition is denied, 3-2. So one of you that voted against, could you offer up a reasonableness and consistency statement as to why you denied it?
I find that this rezoning, while consistent with the comprehensive plan, is not reasonable and in the best interest of town, as it adds a use into an area of town that does not currently have that use and is not best suited for it.
So we have that consistency statement, reasonableness and consistency statement. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the reasonableness and consistency statement as presented by Commissioner Lee, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So again, that was 3-2. Melody? Okay, so the motion does not carry. Thank you. Next up, decision on general rezoning petition RZ 009098 2019, a general rezoning petition by Joshua Darko and Yawa Ito. Mr. Wells, would you like to take that forward?
I like the left chair. Thank you, Mayor, and good evening. This is the decision on the Darko Edo McCall Road general rezoning request, and I'll quickly go through a review of this one as well. The request is R1 single-family residential to R3 single-family residential. And the property sits west of Waxhaw Marvin Road and in between two phases of Millbridge, and in the immediate pocket, another one of the donut holes that we have had some extensive discussions about over the last couple of months. The aerial shows you a little bit better lay of the land. Of course, the property is highlighted in blue right there in the middle of the page with Millbridge Phase 3 to the south, which is the most dense residential in the area. Millbridge Phase 5 is to the north, and that is currently being built out at this time. The immediate area on McCall Road has a mixture of single-family residential and mobile homes on the individual lots, and the properties along Waxhaw Marvin Road have individual homes on lots that primarily front Waxhaw Marvin Road or have long driveway access back to rear properties. Large scale of the zoning within the area. Of course, the subject property is zoned R1. The immediate zoning around Union County is R20 or residential 20, and that is consistent with their request for their equivalent to the R3 request that the applicants have. R3 zoning is directly to the east of it where that comes together there. There is some R2 also to the east of it as well. You see the R3 that is primarily along Waxhaw Marvin Road. Then of course the Millbridge conditional use or conditional district, depending on which phase you're talking about, are for planned residential development. Future land use map, the area is designated for residential mixed, and it's in the intended growth sector, so staff believes that it is consistent with the future land use map and comprehensive plan policy bridge. The proposed zoning again is R3. The description of the district is to provide for the residential use of land developed in a medium density pattern, and the principal structure of the R3 zoning district is the single-family detached dwelling, and there are really very few differences between the districts. The uses allowed are exactly the same. It's primarily single-family residential, and of course in Waxhaw that would be single-family detached for both of these zoning districts. There's a little bit of difference in lot width and lot depth, but the primary difference between the two districts is the lot area. Where the proposed district is 20,000 square foot minimum lot area, that's roughly equivalent to a half acre versus what it's currently zoned, which is 100,000 square feet, which is roughly about 2 1/3 acre. And the property being a 3.9 acre piece of property, staff believes that R1 zoning really is intended for larger parcels, 40, 50 acres up, for areas that need to be preserved for future development considerations. And considering where this property's location is and what's around there, having it more in consistency with what the allowed zoning is not only in Waxhaw but also in the immediate Union County district there. And Union County, by the way, they allow single-family detached duplexes and manufactured homes on their 20 zoning district. Staff recommends approval of the proposed general rezoning request. The Planning Board unanimously recommended approval of the general rezoning request. And of course, the board has the option to approve the request as presented or deny the request as presented. And of course, your reasonableness and consistency statement, and staff believes that it is consistent and would recommend a motion for such that it is consistent and reasonable. And I'll certainly be happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Questions for our planning director? Anybody? And who would like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion to deny RZ 009098-2019 as presented.
We have a motion to deny the zoning as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
So it's denied 3-2. Would you please provide the reasonableness and consistency statement?
I find that, excuse me, I find that while consistent with the comprehensive plan, this rezoning is not reasonable and in the public's best interest, as it increases density on a road that is not best designed to handle it, and it further can damage our residential tax base balance, as it increases the likelihood of lower tax value properties at a higher number of rooftops.
Okay, we have a reasonable statement and consistency statement. Any further discussion? All those in favor of that statement, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay. It was again 3-2, Melody.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, item G4. We don't have anybody to present. This is the authorization to negotiate a developers agreement. We had this discussion and had unanimous consensus in the work session, and we agreed to bring the motion back tonight. So I will entertain a motion to direct the Interim Town Manager Smith to enter into negotiations for proposed development agreement with New East Partners.
So moved.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay, next up, speed limit. Kevin Parker. Welcome, sir.
Good evening. I'm here in front of you tonight to present to you some amendments to our existing section 66.57, our town speed limit ordinance. Currently, our speed limit ordinance reads the maximum speed limit upon unnamed streets of the town, which are a part of the state highway system of streets, shall be 35 miles an hour. In addition to this in addition to this section, there are some road sections included that have speed limits that are represented here by this map. So you can see not every single street which is needed is represented by a speed limit or has a speed limit associated with it. Now you can compare what's ordinance now to what's actually posted out there. You can see the major discrepancy and the confusion that it's causing, not only for law enforcement but for vehicle operators as well. And that's the reason we were trying to amend this. The original existing speed limit ordinance right now, the 35 miles an hour, is a state law that cannot be changed. So we are proposing a speed limit for every single street that has to be approved by the board here tonight. This speed limit ordinance will necessitate the installation of the correct speed limit signage, which is either going to be 25 miles an hour or lower, depending on the road sections. It will be coming out of Powell bill, the speed limit, all the signage, or the overlay stickers where necessary. We anticipate approximately $3,000 of total cost to complete all the installation to accomplish what is the goal. And this is what the speed limit ordinance will represent if it approved here tonight. It doesn't show every single street because we do not own every single street yet. For instance, Millbridge, we don't own everything. So as we accept streets into our system, we will also need to delineate a speed limit for that street as upon acceptance. Staff recommends that the board approves the amendments to section 66-57 as presented here tonight, with the effective date being upon installation of appropriate signage and installation of that signage. If there's any questions?
Okay, do we have any questions?
I just
Commissioner Westlake.
one question out of curiosity. Why is the speed limit different in certain neighborhoods than others? Like it looks like over in some of the Millbridge, Prescott, it's 25 miles per hour, and then over in the Alma Village area, it's 20 miles. Is there a reason?
No, it's kind of what's posted there now, and as long as it's below 25, then it's.
So we don't have a standard for subdivisions, like a standard?
We do not. We could establish that. It has to be a subdivision-wide speed limit or each individual street, if that makes sense, if I'm making sense.
So there's already signs there
Correct,
with a speed limit on it?
correct.
So, okay.
So just to
Even
say
though they're not
enforces,
enforceable.
and just is the 25 miles below is as staff recommends.
So, in that vein, street acceptance policy, will that include a step now as streets come over that we will
Yes, establish.
update the ordinance to establish the speed limit?
Yes, and as development does occur, we plan on having the developer implement the appropriate signage as
Signage,
well. Yeah.
And is the intent that going forward, most neighborhoods would be at the 25?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. That gets to your question, right, yeah, going forward. So, okay, any further questions? Anybody like to make a
One
motion?
question. Did you just say that the cost of the signs is going to be, the bill will be footed by the developers or by us?
Howell bill to fix to,
As new subdivisions are
correct.
accepted?
Oh, as they're accepted, the developer will be
The
installing,
developer's being
correct.
asked to pay for that. Okay, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the amendment to the Town of Waxhaw Code of Ordinance, Sections 66 through 57, for the speed limits as presented.
Have a motion? Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We have nobody signed up for general public comments. We do have two items left, leadership, and then we're going to go into closed session to discuss some things and come back. But at this point in time, town leadership reports. Manager Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I will just echo your comments on Lisa's impact to the town. I know that she's only been here a short period of time, a couple of years, but I think she's done good work getting you on a solid financial footing and with their staff going forward to continue on. She still will be assisting the town as we go through the software transition. She'll be building the general ledger. She's going to take a couple weeks off to move and get the grandbaby. The grandbaby actually did come this weekend. It was a little premature, 7 weeks, so it's in the incubator, but I was a preemie, so that shouldn't be a problem. If that tells you anything about preemies. I don't know. But I do want to thank her for her leadership and her time and dedication to the citizens of Waxhaw as well, the importance of her contribution to the town. We will begin advertising that position immediately and hope to fill it as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Burns, Commissioner Westlake, Mayor Pro Tem. Okay, I'm going to mention something and probably get myself in a little bit of conflict, but I have to say it. As public officials, we're charged with upholding the trust of the citizens in the town. That requires each of us to live as if we're on duty all the time as elected officials, regardless of where we are, what we may be doing. No question it's difficult. No question it's hard. As was shared with me Saturday, election season seems to bring out some interesting behavior. The comment that was shared was, You can tell the muni cycle has started. Let the trash talking, exaggeration, and outright lies begin. Candidates that are not elected can say what they want. They have freedom of speech. Elected officials sit in a tough spot. We're not, we're charged with upholding the trust of the citizens, even with our freedom of speech rights. I got to go on the record. I'm extremely disappointed that one of us at this table, while exercising their freedom of speech to campaign for someone, went too far on Facebook, in my opinion, and used the terms personal gain and cover-ups to describe decision-making of the board over the last 4 years. Personally, I take exception to that, and as a town, we should take exception of that. Campaigning's fine. It's the use of the words, and those words are thrown out there, but they're not shared, discussed, nor brought forward through the proper channels, as is our duty. Why do I bring it up? It has implications to a town and to the integrity of town leadership over the past 4 years. The effects are serious and already noticed. It undermines the trust of entities that wish to work in Waxhaw. Let me share what I've heard in the last, it's actually now probably closer to 24 hours. I've received 4 calls at a minimum. Number 1, I'm worried about and questioning if we move forward with the town. Number 2, remember, anyone interested in Waxhaw and economic development of Waxhaw watches and minds everything you do and say, and you don't even know it. Right now, you're at ground zero and are looking up. Number 3, direct comment. I'm thinking of suspending work in Waxhaw, and we'll look at other towns until Waxhaw can demonstrate appropriate behavior. And number 4, one, unfortunately, based upon a similar comment, has already decided to locate elsewhere, and they notified us, a medical facility, office. Technically, it's not an ethical violation, but board, we just have to get better. This behavior sets us back, and I'll say it to the candidates too. This behavior sets the town back. We are a laughing stock up in Raleigh when we continue to talk like that. We have a lot of opportunity here. We have a lot of potential. I encourage every candidate to talk about how they're going to bring that potential out. But this stuff has hurt significantly the town of Waxhaw, and I hope we can put a stop to it. And at this point in time, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318 to establish or instruct the public body staff concerning the position to be taken by or on behalf of the public body in negotiating the price and other material terms of a contract or proposed contract for the acquisition of real property by purchase, option, exchange, or lease, and we would include Attorney Buckley and Manager Smith and Clerk Schuler in that discussion.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Let's go. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for waiting. We will resume the open session, and at this point in time, I would be happy to entertain a motion to direct the town manager to execute a contract with Dewberry and Associates to enter into a contractual arrangement to conduct the geophysical study on property, Union County property at the corner of Waxhaw Marvin Road and Kensington Drive.
So moved.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, ayes have it 5-0, and at this point in time, so we can complete that contract, I would entertain a motion to adopt the budget amendment that allocates an additional $13,925 for engineering professional services contract as described in this budget amendment sheet that we all saw.
So moved.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And there we have it. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.